So, hello everyone. My name is Anna Mardal, and this is my first attempt at a Let's Play. This is Long Live the Queen by Hanako Games, and they were kind enough to give me permission to use their material in a Let's Play. So, all the copyrighted material you're about to see is theirs, but it's used with their permission. I'm doing this entirely because it seems like a fun thing to do. I like this game. I thought it would be a fun way to spend the holidays. I don't know how much insightful commentary there is going to be as opposed to just having fun with the material, but we'll get into it and see how it goes. This game is called Long Live the Queen, and it's basically about taking a young princess who has just become queen. Her mother has died, and she's the new queen, and over the course of a year, trying to keep her alive. There's a whole bunch of skills, and this is not like if you go into this like Princess Maker. If you've ever played that before, this is not like that. You cannot build up all the skills. You cannot min max this game, or at least if you can, I haven't figured out how to. You won't be able to get all the skills, and you're going to fail stuff when preset events happen, and depending on what you succeed at and what you fail depends on where the game goes, and depends on whether you'll be able to keep her alive or not. It's really hard but also really fun. So what I'd like to do is go through once with a playthrough that I know works because I've done it before, and kind of show you what I did and have fun with it and talk about it. We'll go from there, have a couple more playthroughs, maybe have some kind of voting. We'll see. Um, but this first one will just be kind of introduce the game and what's in it. I also apologize in advance if I can't get a transcript out of this. My first plan had been to use Dragon Naturally Speaking version 12 to transcribe as I talk because the dictation's supposed to be not too bad, but as it turns out, it doesn't work if it doesn't recognize the application. Like, it won't just passively dictate in the background. And so it kept trying to send commands to my game, and the command it most often sent was speed through the text while Anna's talking, which didn't help anybody at all. So I had to turn that off. What I'll try to do is take the recording of this and jam it through Dragon as a like an MP3, but I already know in advance that that's going to be horrible and dreadful. So we'll see what happens as far as a transcript goes. First thing I'm going to do is put the music back on because I didn't want it going while I was talking. And the thing that cracks me up about this is that this is, the God Save the Queen national anthem if you're from the UK, but it's My Country 'Tis of Thee if you're from the America like me. So I've had that in my head all month long. Let's go ahead and get started. And I'm not quite sure how to do all the dialogue. I want y'all to be able to read it all, but at the same time, I'm not going to read it out loud. So you may have to pause every so often to read the dialogue on top of me talking. This is your dad. He's useless, but that's okay. And this is you, or the person you're trying to keep alive, depending on how you want to insert yourself into this. And, like, I like this already because your mom's died and your dad's like, I know this sucks, but it'll be fine. And Elodie's not having that. She's not happy. And I can understand that. And Platitude 5000 keeps going. Oh, and your country is named Nova. So this is the screen that you will see so much of. And I'm going to go ahead and let them tell us more and sort of talk over it. This is Elodie, the almost queen of Nova. She has skills. And she has a mood. And mood matters. This is your mood. And predictably, you're kind of depressed right now because your mom's just died. And this is unfortunate for us because depression just wreaks havoc with the skills that we need to start off training. So we're going to have to do something about that. And these are your skills. And there are so many skills. And again, you will not be able to max out all of these. So what you have here is these modifiers. Like you see -1 next to royal demeanor and -2 next to conversation and +1 next to expression. Normally, if you studied a skill and you just had a 0 modifier, you'd get 10 points at the skill. But the modifiers can greatly multiply or reduce what you're learning. So like it says right now, if you took a conversation skill like public speaking, you wouldn't actually get any better at it because she's just that depressed. So you have to plan our moods around our training. Or take, deficits, which we'll actually have to do for a couple of key skills that we need right away. And basically you get a morning class and an evening class every week. So, that's pretty much everything. These bubbles show when things change, which we have turned on, and get used to seeing that failed because you will see that so often. And it can definitely freak you out when an event happens and you see like test, poison, failed, and you're like, oh crap, what did I just fail when it comes to poison? And sometimes you'll spend a whole game building that up to win a test and find out that it was nothing. So yeah, the game likes to play with you. So this is week 1, and you can tell up here with our little wheel, and there are 40 weeks, I believe, 30 something, 40, we'll get there. And so what we have to do is look at our mood. Here's our mood. We're afraid and we're depressed, and we're baseline on these two. If we went in either direction, we'd be willful or yielding or pressured or lonely. So it's kind of a tug of war back and forth between them. And these titles aren't very, like, yielding isn't exactly, don't take them too seriously. I almost just think of them as like A, B, C, D kind of things. And these are our skills, which we're not good at anything yet. And we have no outfits except for our boarding school uniform. Outfits provide bonuses. And most of them aren't too fan servicey, so I appreciate that. Classes. We have to pick 2 classes. So we're going to study composure under royal demeanor, and we're going to study falcons under animal handling. And the reason we're going to do this is we're going to study falcons because we have an animal handling bonus, and we're going to study composure even though we have a negative effect because we need it right off the bat. And again, this is a playthrough that I did once already, so I know it works, but it wasn't maxed out well. So like for instance, we're doing falcons now because it makes sense. Do I ever use them later? I don't remember. There is a spot where falcons are needed, but I don't know if I had enough skills to use it. So let's just go. So we're gonna say done, and here is us learning composure badly because we have a penalty. And here is us learning falcons. And everything you learn has this like explanatory text, which is kind of fun to read, but it also actually turns out to be informative in terms of what level you need in order to pass certain events. So that's a nice touch. And that was, you get 1 training, and then if anything's going to happen for the week, this is when it happens. So here's our event. There's noise outside. And people have shown up to visit. Isn't that nice? And Charlotte kind of freaks me out a little bit because those eyes are staring into my soul. But they're going to be here all month, and she seems nice. Look, it even made Elodie more cheerful, which we definitely needed. So this little splash screen is letting you pick something to do for the weekend. And this stuff either advances the plot, like this talk with your father, or it affects mood. And that's what these like -1 to depressed does. And you can even check your mood, which is a nice touch. You don't have to remember what it was. So we're still depressed, and we'd still like to do something about that. So we're going to attend castle services, which I love the icon. That's awesome. And drop our depression down a notch. Ah, look at that. -1 depression. And now it's week 2. And Elodie is slightly less depressed. We managed to get rid of 2. One for the church and one for Charlotte visiting. And she's slightly more skilled. So now we do this 39 more times. We're going to keep studying composure because we need to get that up to level 10. And now that conversation is back to a baseline effect, I'm going to go ahead and train her in court manners because we need that too. So now we have composure up to level 10. And this goes up to 100. And basically win conditions happen every 10 steps. So 10, 20, 30, etc. And we've got court manners up to 10. So we're off to a good start. This is the end of week 2. Now there's a commotion. Lumen are magic users, and that'll become a big plot point. And, you know, your dad's being, you know, useless. We get to decide what to do with our new Duchess, who does magic. So I'm going to let her stay this time. And because I don't want to send away a magic user and I don't want to arrest her. And deciding to let her stay up to my willfulness. Like you do. And, see, there, we're more willful. And for this week, I'm going to visit Charlotte, because I didn't do that last week. And this is one of those fun kingdoms where it's considered perfectly acceptable to murder children if they stand in your way politically. So, yeah. And I think that's one of the things I really like about this game is that as the game goes on, it's going to become increasingly hard to be a good person. And in fact, the good person things are things that, if you stop and think about them, aren't really very good, but it's maybe better than some of the other options. So that'll be fun. Lots of moral ambiguity. This is our skills. Here is our mood going into week 3. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is study Novan history, which is basically local history, our country's history, and foreign affairs history, because we're going to need that. So history, Novan in the morning, history, foreign in the evening. And I think this is cute. Because she's doing the he loves me not, but there's not an actual boy involved. She just likes the game. I've done that. And the Duchess that we didn't exile or imprison runs into the garden with a sword and tells you not to move. And we're going to hold still, because, why wouldn't we? And there was a test. And we passed the test. But we wouldn't have been able to pass the test if we hadn't been training up composure at a discount, or not a discount, but a disadvantage because of the depression. There's a snake. And it wasn't a local snake. And Charlotte's gone. I don't think we ever get to see Charlotte again in this playthrough, so I hope you all enjoyed her horrible, staring, giant anime eyes. I think what we'll do now is visit the dungeons. It's going to up our willful, but it'll also bring us up to angry, which will cancel out our... Well, actually, it won't cancel out our afraid because we need to, but it'll bring us closer to canceling out afraid. So, dungeons. They're obviously bad people, but seeing them so miserable still feels unfair. There must be a better way. I agree, Elodie. There should be a better way. And now that we're getting very willful, we have a new facial expression. So just drink that facial expression in. For week 4, we're going to go ahead and study intrigue, internal affairs, and intrigue, foreign intelligence. And that's here. We've got a bonus on it, so that helps. But basically, again, we're just going to need it. So go. Study intrigue. Willful bonus, and this is teaching you a lot of internal stuff that you would need if you were making decisions in this game. So it's not just flavor text. And speaking of, oh, actually no, that's next week. This is a gimme week. Nothing actually happened. Basically, that was just Elodie being sad that the castle's quiet now that her cousin has left. We're going to go to the church again and take off afraid. The church modifier kind of changes every week, and what it's basically doing is it's trying to bring you back to baseline on these things. And it has kind of a priority list. If we had more depression than we'd have afraid, then it would have taken down a depression. But since we're 1 and 1 for both, it grabs afraid first. So we'll pull off the afraid. So this is week 5, and we still have the intrigue bonus. So I'm going to keep us studying internal affairs and foreign intelligence again. And we've only done them twice, but since we had this huge bonus that was giving us 15 instead of 10, we're up to 30 already, which is really nice. So, hey, we passed another test. And that's the fun thing about this game is right off at the beginning you can pass all these tests and you feel like you're really getting a handle on it. And then mid-game they just hit you with fail, 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 fail. It's like, oh. So don't get used to that. But because we've done all this foreign intelligence, foreign affairs, we actually know where the Duke of Sedna is from. If you hadn't been, there's this funny scene where Elodie says, we have a Duke of Sedna, and the servant's like, no. So that's nice. And the Duke of Sedna has sent a gift. And they've sent a necklace with the gift. And Elodie realizes, even though she's 14 years old, that if she puts on the necklace, it might be taken as a symbol of more than just pretty jewelry. So we're going to be circumspect and not wear the necklace. And that gave us a bonus to yielding, which I think of yielding as more like proper, like you would expect a proper lady, because we're not usually going to be yielding even when we are yielding. Speaking of yielding, let's go ahead and attend court, which gives us +2 to yielding, and it also makes us more depressed, which is unfortunate, but we're going to go ahead and take these bonuses for right now. Skills. We need to get our economics up for an event coming up. So for classes, we're going to say economics, trade and economics production, because we're going to need these to sum to about 50 for an event that I want to hit. This is the local priest who is awesome. I totally love that they have the triquetra symbol on all the church and vestments. She's also, like, spoilers, I think she's also a lesbian in a relationship with the blue-haired duchess, who's the magic user. And this one uses magic as well in secret. So she's basically awesome in every possible way. And she has come to speak to us. We say, what is it? And she says, go talk to the Duchess of Ursul. So, hey, we'll do that. Why not? So we'll go visit Juliana. And she wants to know if we have our mother's crystal. What crystal? And basically, you have to get this crystal and bond with it, and then you'll be Sailor Moon. So, yeah, it's pretty standard. But our dad, who I think I mentioned is useless, has hidden it. So, there's that. And this is a crystal, and it sort of hovers over your chest when you want it to. So, oh, look how sad we are because our depression is back in full swing. That sucks. So, once again, we're gonna trade in production because we need to get that up. And we're at 20 trade and 20 production. Oh, we failed. We failed elegance and we failed reflexes. So the maid just ran into us. Fortunately, we didn't die. Yeah, you can't die there, but later we will start dying as we fail things. We also failed court manners, which is a shame, but we're just going to apologize, and that's going to increase our depression, but it is what it is. And we could go talk to our dad about the crystal, but instead we're going to keep trying to bring the depression back down. And back at skills, we're going to grab one more trade and a strategy. I'm not sure we ever used strategy in this playthrough, but again, this is how I did it when I went through, so I'm sticking to my notes. There's our strategy. Okay. And just in time, we've finished trade and production. We've got those up to, they sum up to 50, which is what's going to be used for this test. And there's a guy here who wants funding for a project. And what is the project? And yeah, it's not unlimited. I've never had trouble running out of money, but then again, I may not be doing enough. And this guy wants to build a printing press, which, you know, my first thought was awesome. But if you don't pass the test, you don't get the option to say yes. Like, it's not like you can say yes or no, but you don't know if it'll work. You don't get the option. So I said, okay, let's invest. And now we've just, you know, patronized printing presses. And we're going to go ahead and sneak out for the weekend, which will bring up our willful and our lonely. I think probably it might have been better to keep pulling down depression, but I'm sticking to my script. So now we're going to study foreign intelligence, which is intrigue. And we're also going to study ciphering. Actually, I'm going to do it in this order. And let me say why. These bundles of 3 skills, like under intrigue, when one of them gets to 50, it can't be increased past 50 until all of them are at least at 25. So that's kind of frustrating, but it has an extra element of strategy, because you can't just max out like Novan history at 100 and leave foreign affairs and world in the zeros. You have to bring them up to 25 in order to get Novan past 50. So, ciphering and foreign intelligence, go. And here is Banyan, Duke of Marie, who has come by to say how sorry he is for the fact that our mom has died. It'll be kind of funny. Actually, we'll just go through this. Elodie says thank you. And he says he wants some help because this foreign occupation has gone on for too long and he wants troops. Oh, we failed foreign affairs. We don't know what he's talking about. That's unfortunate. But we do have some strategy, so we have the option to drive them out with force. I don't really like war, so we'll negotiate. So try to negotiate first. He says, I'll send for some diplomats, which is, I think, a very queenly thing to do. And that gave us a yielding. And then he says, if I may say so, you are looking particularly lovely this day. I hope you will think fondly of me. And she says, is he flirting with me? He's almost as old as my father. And if I can scroll up here, which I think I can. Yes, if you scroll up or down, you can see previous text, which is a very nice technical touch. This is where anime fails me, because he doesn't look old to me, but if you say so, Elodie. And Elodie is 14, and Banyan is, I'm not sure. I think he's 30 or 35. It's somewhere in the manual, I'm not a physical manual, but I read it online. So we're gonna go sneaking out to be willful again. Probably because all this yielding got me spooked a little bit. Bam. Well, we've got ambassadors coming, so it would be nice to kind of know what we're talking about. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably do history, especially since we just failed that one. So let's say classes, foreign affairs, and internal affairs. That'll bring up this one here and this one here. So good, go. So now 20 on that, and we've got a almost 50. It's going to count as 40 for internal affairs. And this is kind of what I was talking about, that this isn't flavor text that actually matters. Your agents suspect the Duchess of Ursul, that's our blue-haired lady, is actually more interested in the Duchess of Hellas. The Duchess of Hellas is, I believe, Banyan's sister. Neither has ever been linked to a man. That's going to be important in a few minutes. So, your dad shows up. Representative from Ixion is here. And Banyan is, yeah, go get him. We're right behind you. And this is Brit. Yes, Duchess of Hellas. She's Banyan's sister and isn't very happy to be here. I don't know that we learn this on this playthrough. Oh, here it is. The Duchess of Hellas, Bryn, the girl with the flower in her hair, was the one who basically attacked first. She tried to take over Ixion, and she didn't have the support of Elodie's mother, the queen. So she kind of went rogue, and now we have to clean up this mess. So that in of itself is kind of a jerk thing to do. And look at all these tests for failing. So the thing here is kind of what I was talking about, where this game makes it really, really hard to be a good person. Because it's really not right that probably not right. We don't know her motivations, but based on what we know, the Duchess of Hellas, Bryn, flower hair lady, um, totally attacked this foreign ruler to take their land and territory without any provocation that we know of, although we did just fail a whole bunch of things. So, hey, maybe there was something that we just don't know of. And then basically got us embroiled in a war that we didn't sign up for. Our mom, the queen, didn't sign up for. And we've got to sort this out. So we could have sent, soldiers to go fight and die for this land that we didn't want in the first place. And I mean, who knows? It could be a cesspit, or it could be like the best land ever, but it's not ours. Or we can try to intimidate them into going away. Or one of these options is, since we passed the test that let us know that she did this without our approval, we can offer to punish her. And so I'm going to say, well, okay, let's punish her. I mean, it's not our fault that she tried to start a war. So we say, well, we appreciate that you feel wronged. She didn't have our approval. If you'll withdraw your troops and not, escalate this, we'll punish her. And of course she's not happy about this, which, I wouldn't be either. And Elodie says, well, this is fair is fair. So they said, well, what kind of punishment were you considering? And the option that we have here is to kill her, which is obviously a little extreme, or to basically strip her rights and titles, which also seems kind of extreme, or we can command her to marry an Ixonite, which again seems a little extreme. And I don't remember if it was in the flavor text or if this is just something I know, but in the world building for this game, people with titles, like if you have multiple titles, they sort of split the difference with the kids. So the Duchess of Hellas has a title. She has a dukedom of Hellas that if she wants to pass on to a child, well, she needs to have a child. Captain Obvious there. But if she has a child with an Ixonite, then the territory will pass to somebody with, theoretically, Ixonite loyalties. So none of these are good, and especially because we already know that she is rumored to be a lesbian. It's kind of an asshole thing to do to command her to marry somebody. But I'm going to go ahead and do that because we're committed to this now. I can't back up, and I don't want to kill her, and I don't want to make her a commoner. So it's okay, we'll command her to marry. It just says, she will marry an Ixonite lord of your choosing. And Briz says, And Elodie points out that she doesn't have a lot of options here, and that the heirs of the union will be Ixonite blood, Ixonite sympathies. So the diplomat says, yeah, okay, whatever. And since we passed the test that let us know that she doesn't like men, we're going to take her aside and sort of tell her, you have to marry someone because you need an heir. And if you have a foreign husband, then you shouldn't have any problem divorcing him after you have a child. And kind of also promising support if there needs to be any royal support brought to bear for that divorce. And Bryn's like, fine. And this is, like, to me, a really good example. Like, this is a terrible thing to do. We are terrible people here. I don't want to not emphasize that. Like, forcing someone to get married to someone that they're not even attracted to is really awful. But we did it in a sort of good way to avoid a lot of people dying. Or I think one of the options was to pay for the territory, but it would have been huge, and probably later we would have had to, press the enter button. Later we would have had to raise taxes. And And of course, the other alternatives were like killing her or deposing her, both of which seem extremely extreme. So now we've gone and done an also evil thing, but in a way that we're like, but we'll make it as easy as possible for you to back out of it. And I think that's kind of, I don't know if interesting is the right word, but certainly very intriguing in a world building that's clearly based on historical, if you want an heir, you have to have one, and there's no artificial insemination. And I like to think, although the game didn't provide for it, but I like to think that if she hadn't said very well here, if she'd been like, no, I really don't want to, then we could have said, well, okay, let's raise the money some other way. No, obviously the game didn't give us that option. But we'll continue on and see what does happen. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here and then start another one, and that way potentially indemnify ourselves against things like computer crashes. Okay, so when we last left our queen, she had forced someone to get married, which is evil, as we just discussed, but she did it in the least evil way she could manage. So now we have a weekend to try to decide what to do with ourselves. So we're going to walk in the gardens because that will make us cheerful. And that seems nice. And here's Elodie with her awesome, willful expression. Seriously, I kind of want to paint that out of my face at all times. And we are going to... I went ahead and studied... Oh, I know why. We're going to study herbs and battlefield medicine because it's going to be important in a couple of days. So... there's our herbs, and there's our battlefield meditation. And here's Dad, and he says that there is a Keithong in the Old Forest, which is an awesome name, and someone should draw up what that looks like if you don't have a picture in the game. I've never been able to see one yet. And Elodie says, "What's a Keithong?" And he says, "It's a beast with the body of an enormous golden cat, a sharp beak, and spikes on its back." So, not fun. And it kills people. And Elodie, being a good queen, says, "Should we do something?" And your dad says that the traditional policy is to hope that they go away, which is awesome. They should, come up with an awesome code name for policy, like Head in the Sand or Operation Ostrich or something, which I think is an urban legend, but I'm not going to Google it right now. And he says that it only makes it worse. So Elodie's kind of sad that the official policy is to let people die rather than do something that could cause more people to die or will cause more people to die. So we're kind of back to there being no good options in this game at times. And your dad, because he's useful, says everyone dies in the end. And now Elodie is depressed because her mom just died. And also, depending on how you've been playing, it's possible for people to start killing her right away. Hopefully that won't happen to us. We'll see. We have another weekend, and we're going to go back to gardens again. Because Dad keeps making us depressed, which is not useful. And we're going to keep learning herbs and battlefield medicine. Oh, and we have a lonely bonus, which didn't help us nearly as much as we would have liked to because we were stuck at 20, but it's fine. There's another investiture this week. A woman who wants crowdfunding for a project, and she wants to build a hospital. And this is awesome. If you fail this test, Elodie thinks, because it's logical, that having a bunch of sick people in a localized place would just cause them to die faster, because I guess Elodie has rudimentary concept of germ theory. But Instead, we did pass, and Elodie says that centralizing resources could help people who don't have doctors, which is very awesome. Good call, Elodie. So we're gonna invest, and now we have a hospital, which will come up in the end game. But I wanted y'all to see it. For the weekend, let's play with our toys, and that makes Elodie feel better. She's still sad. What is our mood? Our mood is lonely. That is our lonely mood. So let's go ahead. We've got a bonus to conversation. So let's go ahead and study court manners and flattery. Those seem like good things to study. And wow, that's a pretty big bonus on. Oh yeah, okay, we've got the 15. Good. And this week, we have a murderer to judge who is asking for the mercy of the crown. And this is Kevin, Earl of, I think it's Io. He's an asshole, and he has red hair. And that makes me sad because obviously hot-tempered, asshole-ish people who have red hair is a problematic trope. So we need to recolor him, I think, just for my peace of mind. But anyway, this is Kevin, and he's shouty. I know he doesn't look like an asshole here, but he is. And he says, well, she admits to poisoning my sister. And we say, which sister? And he clears that up. And we have no history, so we failed. Well, we have history, we don't have enough. And apparently she was poisoning the food, which seems irresponsible to me. Other people could have died. And so Elodie puts her angry face on. And the condemned woman says that the people she was trying to kill, the family, had killed her brother. And it broke her mom's heart. And they said he'd gone for a soldier when they knew he'd never come back. And Kevin says, yeah, let's just be done with this here. And we had a partial success, which is kind of a fancy way of saying failed, but we do at least get that Elodie feels like there might be more to the story than this. And you could consider this role playing, that I'm going to play along and not know what is going on here, or you could consider that it's possible I actually don't know because I haven't been able to pass this test properly. But let's call it role playing. So we get some options. You can ask the Earl of Io about her story, and basically what Elodie will do is she will say, was her brother murdered? And the Earl of Io will get angry and kill the woman on the spot. So little spoiler for you there. And I can't. So we're going to put her to work instead, because I don't want to see that right here. I mean, you don't see anything, but I just don't want that. And Elodie says, well, she may have intended to murder, but she didn't actually manage it, so we're not going to kill her. And since she's not, an indiscriminate murderer, she had a specific target. If we remove her from her target, then she won't be a threat. And, Kevin's angry. And Elodie says, I'm indenturing her, not pardoning her. She will serve as a heavy laborer in northern Ursul, or, which is, I think, this game's version of like a Siberia shout out. And Kevin's not happy. But Elodie, I have spoken. Go Elodie. And the woman says, thank you. And there's actually a background stat that you don't get to see that's basically commoner approval, and I don't know if that raises it or not. I who knows. And I think that was another good example of a very morally ambiguous choice, because I would have preferred to ask him for more details, but I happen to know in a very meta knowledge that I don't have the skills to make that end well. It ends badly. So our options are, we can kill her, or we can imprison her forever, or we can give her a job in a place that may or not be really may or may not be really shitty. So we picked putting her to work because I felt like that was kind of nicer than a tiny dungeon cell for the rest of her life. But none of these were really great options. Obviously, the best one would have been to ask him about her story in a venue where he couldn't immediately murder her. But we weren't given that option. So we did the best we could. We're gonna go play with our toys now. It'll make Elodie feel better, and it'll make us feel better. Not very better though, because she's still massively lonely. But that's okay, because we get bonuses to our speaking ability. I'm not sure why being lonely makes us speak well, but it does. And so public speaking and flattery. And this week's a little bit of a miss. As you're walking in the garden one day, you hear a strange sound. You look up to see an owl. We failed divination. We did succeed at falcons, so Elodie knows that that was kind of weird. But this is one of the examples of a test that if you fail it, you kind of freak out and go back and retrain for it, and then the success isn't actually that useful. The success here is that Elodie goes, owl during the day, that's weird. Yes, it is, Elodie. So just because you failed something doesn't necessarily mean it was something that would have been useful if you'd succeeded. Divination is an interesting skill in the sense that if you max it out early on, it can give you warning about what's going to happen in the future. Which sometimes gives Elodie more choices in an option, or more options in a choice, and sometimes it just tells you, the player, which, we have wikis, so not as useful as in a multiple playthrough type sense. We're gonna play with toys again. Toys seem awesome. And we're going to do more public speaking and court manners. There we are. And this unlocks a new outfit. We've just passed that magical 25 mark in all 3 skills for conversation, so we get an outfit for it. And Dad shows up to tell us that we have a festival approaching, and says that normally you would lead the procession and give a speech, but it's not required because you're not yet crowned, and there might be assassins on the prowl. Which, Oh, and he also says word has come from the factory for books that you funded. They've assembled enough equipment to begin printing test pamphlets. And since we're a royal sponsor, we get to decide what the first printing will be. That strategy is interesting. If you had enough military at this point, you could print up, like, Uncle Sam wants you pamphlets to recruit for the army. But we don't, so we can't. We can pick poems praising your mother, which I think is awesome, but which makes Elodie depressed. Or you can pick religious doctrine. So, we're going to pick religious doctrine. Yielding. Which, at least is topical because we're about to have this parade thing. So, if the Gutenberg printing press can be brought up to speed quickly, then we would look, timely. And the king, go away, Dad. Letter from Bryony. And I'm not even going to get into that because I don't think we're going to meet Bryony in this playthrough. But she says her uncle Kevin, red-haired guy, is absolutely furious about the woman's trial. Which, Kevin furious is like a day with sunshine, But, toys. Keep her lonely. I gotta think, what is our mood now? We should be pretty cheerful, and we should be pretty yielding and very lonely. And we're gonna go ahead and put on the new outfit that we got, the tea dress boost conversation. And now if we go look at our skills, we've got this nice little green bonus on all of our conversation. And, luckily enough, we're about to go give a speech in public next week, which was totally not planned. Totally. Maybe a little bit. Just a tiny bit. We're going to study public speaking and court manners again. And the lonely bonus is just tearing through this, which is awesome. And now it's Festival of the Good Lady Week. And we're going to go ahead and lead the parade and make a speech, because we've been just burning through those conversation skills, so I think we can manage. But we're not very elegant or decorative, so there's that. But we do have a good speech, and I think it's sweet. She says that it's the people that make this domain great, and that we're here today to celebrate the gifts of the good lady. And each of us faces hardships, but we grow back stronger than ever. Now is the time for new beginnings, and for my beginning as your queen. And I think that's actually pretty good. It's the Fred Clark problem of, if you describe somebody as a great speaker or a great journalist, then you have to actually back that up. And for a 14-year-old who's supposed to be decently good at public speaking, I felt like that was good. So we get great applause, everybody's happy, go back to the castle, good day, done. And let's go attend court some more. And it wasn't fun. Well, it never is. Look at our skills. We have really crummy presence, which we were just noted in the parade. So it's going to go ahead and... Presence is an aura of confidence and command. So let's go ahead and start working on that. And our yielding bonus helps out. And, oh, there's a ball. Thanks for warning us, Dad, because I pretty much guarantee that the first time you go through this, that will come as a complete surprise, and you won't be prepared for it. But hey, you're here with me, so we were prepared. And so Dad says, are you ready for the ball that I in no way prepped you for? And we say, he says, all the nobles in the domain are here to see you. And Elodie says gulp, which is cute. And we get a scene change, which is how important this is. And I don't dislike this. I always think it's cute. In what I think was a low budget game, they're going to describe everybody without actually showing you everybody. And that works for me. But it means a lot of reading. We didn't get our presence or elegance or composure or decoration up in time. So everybody feels like we're, 14, which we are. And we get to dance. And his eyes are sad. After this, you must choose your own partner. There are a number of men who hope to catch your eye. And then he starts running through them. And you get to pick whoever you want. And we actually have intriguing court manners up high enough to succeed. So that's awesome. And it says, no doubt every noble family with eligible sons has dreams of a royal wedding. Your choice will raise hope and dash others. Feuds could be born here. So we're basically like Queen Elizabeth now. And then she actually runs through who all the choices are, which I'm not going to belabor very much because we're going to ignore them all. But basically you have a guy who's kind of your age that you like, a guy who's younger than you that you don't know very much about, but at least he won't be sexually aggressive. And then you have this older guy, Banyan, who, if you dance with him, could be kind of awkward because he's probably the one most likely to press a marriage suit on you. You could choose somebody unimportant, but the major families might basically destroy him in order to get him out of the way for their sons. It says, if you wish to distract attention, you could choose someone ineligible, like an uncle or an older family man, somebody married, or even a woman, though that would be mildly scandalous. And, I'm all about scandal, so who are the women we have to dance with? And so we have your blue-haired, did she say she was our aunt? I think she's our aunt. Duchess of Ursul. And there's this one. After you pressured Bryn, the Duchess of Hellas, into marrying an Ixonite, it might be something of a peace offering to dance with her. Well, that seems nice. We want to be peaceable. You know that she prefers women, and she knows that you know, so dancing with her might set up expectations. And then there's also this elderly lady, Aris, who is, we'll get into this later, but she's basically like what people think a queen should be. She's older and grandmother of lots and lots of kids, and she owns like half the kingdom. So that's one of our options. Or you could dance with a servant. Let's go ahead and dance with Bryn, because I like Bryn. I don't care that she's a lesbian. Maybe Elodie's a lesbian. And also, I like the peace offering concept of making it clear that she's still in favor with us, even though we, quote unquote, punished her to resolve the Ixonite problem. She's not, being snubbed royal favor. So we're going to go ahead and dance with Bryn. So you feel deliciously wicked at the expression of shock on her face, but it soon fades into something more ambiguous. Her hand in yours is warm, and too late you wonder if you're playing with fire. Well, too late. We're dancing, and we didn't train dance at all, so oops. Between the dances, there's talking, and we actually are good at that, so that's awesome. We walk around and talk to everybody. During a lull in the music, Banyan, he's the blonde guy who's brother to Bryn, who we just danced with, decides to propose a toast. And he's he's such a jerk, you'll see, but in a fun way. He says he wants to offer his compliments. Not only does she protect our borders, but she has begun to address the long-standing problem of a shortage of heirs. My sister is proud to do her duty, as of course are others, such as myself and our lovely new queen. And this is kind of a nice touch because you don't know it's the first time through, but this is a trap. He's actually implying that he and Elodie are having sex, which is obviously very scandalous. But it's kind of a neatly worded it got me because we are addressing the shortage of heirs in the sense that we're thinking about getting married, not necessarily to him. But if you don't have the requisite court knowledge to see what he's doing, and if you accept to dance with him, then you'll basically be slammed into a betrothal without necessarily the player's consent. So that's an interesting little political game there. We do have court manners, so Elodie's got her mad face on, and he's trying to suggest that he and Elodie have some sort of romantic arrangement. If I don't deflect that, everyone will be sure it's true. And then he asks us for a dance. So we can either say yes or no. If we say no, we'll tell him off, and we'll either do it well, depending on how good our flattery and court manners skill are, or we'll do it badly, and we'll sound like a temper tantrum kind of situation. I'm gonna go ahead and accept, because, screw him. And so he pulls us into a dance and says, you realize that you just admitted to all your guests that you and I are having an affair. And Elodie says, yeah, I know. And then we get an option. I plan to marry you, or I plan to use you. So I'm going to say I plan to use you. I'm the queen. I can have whatever favorites I like and then drop them when they bore me. And that will hurt your reputation more than it does mine. And I love Elodie so much. And he says, ruthless, aren't you? And then he points out that we do need a husband, and that he's potentially just as good as anybody. And again, I find this game interesting because as you dig through the different betrothal options, he's not necessarily wrong. He's a good political player. He's obviously ruthless. He's a terrible person. He tried to just trap us into a betrothal against our consent, which is not something a good person does, just so we're all on the same page. But he does know how to play politics, and he kind of has a sense of humor here about getting called on his crap. And most of the other people that you can marry aren't necessarily more moral or better. I haven't gotten him yet, but I think that one of them will actually try to kill you on your wedding night, which is obviously a Brillo thing to do when you're trying to ingratiate yourself with your subjects, but, you know, it's not like it's not without precedent. So, I don't know where I went. Oh, we're looking around the room. There's other people. That's nice. That's nice. We're not going to see any of these people on this playthrough, which is another interesting thing about this game. It's so deep, but you can miss just huge you have to miss huge swaths of it when you play through because only certain sections are open. And we just failed. What did we fail? Well, I don't know. Failed something. I know, but you don't get to know. Somebody at the party knows magic. And if you'd been training in magic, which we haven't trained in magic at all, we don't even have our crystal yet, then we could have found that out and had a conversation with them. So, well, that was a big week. It would have been great if Dad had warned us, but he didn't, so whatever. We're going to go ahead and attend court, which is not fun. It remains unfun. Skills, let's go ahead and work on composure and more presence. That'll probably take us up to 50 on presence, and we don't have anything on elegance, but we won't miss much. Yeah, composure is a 28, and presence is, 50. Potentially, we could have gotten a little bit higher here if we'd gone ahead and upped our elegance. So ideally, I would go back and redo that a little bit, but A, you get to see this useful little message, and B, I'm following an old playthrough, so it is what it is. Alice tells us that a bouquet has come in. The flowers are unusual, long spikes of red, thick with nectar and emitting a strong fragrance. Nothing like the delicate blossoms in most vases. Poison! Failed! This is where you start freaking out. But I'm not going to tell you what the poison win is. I'll tell you. I've only ever gotten, I think, a partial success. And it was like, Elodie says, these are very poisonous, but only if you eat them. Well, we don't plan to eat them, so we should be fine. Elodie says, who sent them? And she says, the Duchess of Alice. Hi, Bryn. So we can either accept them, reject them, or give them to Alice. I like Bryn, so I'm going to go ahead and accept them. And I like that it makes Elodie willful to display flowers from a woman she danced with, because Elodie is awesome. You wander downstairs to visit your father, and you run into him and his ... companion, who is Siren, also known as Siren, Countess of Miranda and Callisto. And she's not very old. She has 2 minor titles. She has no husband, and she has your father's arm in her grasp, which Elodie's unhappy about, which I can understand. Her mom's been dead for well, gosh, what is this, week 18? Her mom's been dead for basically 4 months. So we have unhappy things. I don't really want to trip her. Knowing this game, she'd probably hit her head and die. And I don't think we're very good at flattery. I guess we're okay, but I'm going to go ahead and go with scorn. So we're being scornful. And it worked. Hey, we scorned her. So she sort of scurries out of the room. And your dad says, and this just cracks me up, this is the path that you have set us on. I said, what do you mean? He says, your acts have made everyone think about preparations for the future. The acts he's referring to is the fact that we've we forced or pressured Brynn to get married to make her own heir. And so apparently that made everybody in the nobility go, holy crap, heirs are a thing. We all need to go get them, which makes us very powerful, and all the nobles very suggestible that they hadn't been thinking that before, but this made them think it. But whatever. It made everyone think about the future. So now he needs an heir. It's totally unclear to me how, if your dad got so little power that he couldn't rule as like regent after your mom died, how he's going to get a good heir with an minor noblewoman who has no titles. But I think it's later clarified that he doesn't need an heir for the kingdom, he needs an heir for his little Duke of Caloris area. So this isn't an heir to replace you, it's an heir for the Duke of Caloris. But that was kind of unclear the first time you came through. Anyway, well, here you go. My brother is looking for a wife as well. One of us must produce children. And she says, but mom's been dead for like 18 weeks. And he says, yeah, I know. Sucks to be me. We all have to do things we don't want to do. In my case, it includes boning a hot blonde woman named after sirens. In your case, it means other things. So yeah. Elodie gets a depression there. I probably would have added on an angry, but Elodie rolls differently than I do. Dad says, be careful how you deal with people. You need goodwill. And this opens up this wonderful little intrigue that says, hey, I've got agents. They can do things. And so we get to pick one of these. And this is actually kind of important. If you pick noble plots, you have the potential to get some inside information about a civil war that could or could not happen. Commoner uprisings, I don't really think we need to be worried about that because we've been pretty cool to people. Foreign threats, that's a biggie. And assassins, we don't really need to worry about because we haven't pissed off too many people. But if we wanted to attend a birthday party later, we would need this, or not necessarily need this. This would help. But we're not going to the birthday party. So let's say noble plots to avoid civil war. And also because that party, role-playing here, the party freaked us out with everyone being awful. So, as you wish. Thanks for mentioning this, that I have agents beforehand, Dad. Oh, wait, you didn't. But whatever. It's fine. It's fine. We're going to attend service and shave off some of our frayed. And what face is that? What is that mood face? That's a yielding face, I guess. So that's our yielding face. I think it's supposed to be like a proper haughty eyes, I'm not even looking at you kind of face. We're going to study elegance because we've maxed out how far we can go with presents. Classes, get elegance up to 20, get elegance up to 40. Big bonus on yielding. And we have a new outfit. And Dad comes by. Taxes. We don't have a high enough accounting to understand what the taxes need to be, so I'm just going to keep them the same. What could go wrong? And let's go visit our dad, because like forever ago, Juliana asked us for our mom's crystal. And so we're going to go say, well, Dad, what happened to Mom's Lubin's crystal? It's in a safe place. No, you can't have it. Meddling with magic killed your mother. I don't want that to happen to you. For now, you're still a child. And he won't give it. So, there's that. Let's go ahead and put on our new outfit, which is our coronet boost royal demeanor. And now we kind of look like what you would sort of expect a queen to maybe kind of look like. And we are going to work on... That gives us a bonus to royal demeanor. We're going to work on ciphering and history. Because it would be nice to be able to increase our intrigue, but we're going to have to get ciphering up to 25 before we can do that. So, ciphering and Novan history. New outfit for intrigue. And history's coming along. Ah, we have another murderer. A man has been convicted of the murder by strangling of his wife. He requests a pardon. We say, well, if you admit you killed your wife, why would we set you free? And he says it wasn't his fault. Demons made him do it. And we failed a sense magic. And this is another one of those hard ones because we don't know what's going on. I'm not going to tell you because we're going to role play this out. But you know, he's Mitzi kills his wife. He thinks demons made him do it. We don't know if he's lying. In which case, you know, pardoning him would, well, first and foremost, it would be a miscarriage of justice because he's going to get off scot-free. But he could do it again and hurt somebody. But at the same time, if he's serious, and I mean, there's magic in this world, there might be demons. We just failed a sense magic check. If we imprison him or execute him, that could potentially be a serious miscarriage of justice too, if he had no control over his actions. I don't know what to do. Well, I role playing. I don't know what to do. I know we just passed a sense magic check, or failed a sense magic check, but that could have just been a sense magic to know that his story was bullshit. I'm gonna go ahead and pardon him because I feel like that sort of fits Elodie's personality that we've been playing so far. She's tried to err on the side of mercy. So okay, well, demons, that sucks. And she says, I'm very sorry for your loss. Don't blame yourself. The priestesses will take care of purifying you. Okay, bless you, your majesty, and runs off. Job well done today. We're gonna go visit Juliana and tell her about the crystal. Because I'm tired of failing sense magic checks. So the crystal's probably held in the royal treasury. And otherwise we'll have to take drastic action. I said, okay, we'll find a way. And we're gonna go ahead and put on the new intrigue outfit. And it's a cat suit. But it's actually pretty modest cat suit. Like, I appreciate that. I saw a cat suit and I thought, oh, this is gonna be bad. But it's you know. And I love the monocle. Like, that just does it for me. That to be a real true spy master, you gotta have a monocle. That's awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and keep studying internal affairs and history. So we've got internal affairs pretty high now, 65, and history is getting really close to 50. My lady, there's a letter for you, and it's not signed. It appears to be a poem describing you in a manner that is entirely inappropriate for a queen. I what? With a squid? And you get to decide, sorry, hit the mic there. You get to decide whether it's hilarious or terrible. This is going to affect your mood. And I think hilarious is cheerful and terrible is angry. So let's go with hilarious. Ah, it is cheerful. A breeze swirls out the window and grabs the paper and drags it onto the roof. You can almost reach it. We've done no climbing skills, so I feel like climbing out and grabbing it would end badly. Or we can just ignore it. I ignore it. I mean, with a squid, come on. What's the worst that can happen? It blows off and someone reads it and laughs at you. Apparently, because I did a lot of research on this game. Apparently not trying to retrieve it or not retrieving it lowers commoner approval, which makes me kind of sad that they believed the squid. But it is what it is. We're going to attend services in the church, and this is what I mean by the church being kind of a moderating influence. It's been, so far we've been using it to remove depression or to remove anger or afraidedness. Now it's removing cheerful, and now you're like, well, cheerful seems like a good thing to have. Why is it removing cheerful? But the church is like trying to get you to a baseline. It may not affect willful and yielding. I'm not sure about that, but I know it definitely affects the angry, afraid, cheerful, depressed axes. So we're gonna go to church and stop being cheerful, because it's cheerful. Let's see here. Let's say internal affairs still and foreign intelligence. We're gonna be the most intriguey queen ever. Dad shows up to say, and this is tricky to follow, as it's supposed to be, the Earl of Titan and the Duke Regent of Eleth has passed away. And okay, what do we do with his heir, young Lord Adair, who is 13 and needs a regent? His stepmother has asked that he stay in her care, but that would leave her in control of 2 neighboring duchies, which is generally forbidden. And she's also related to people who are known for intrigue and asshole behavior. And Elodie says people already call her Nova's other queen. And also, Duchess Arise almost certainly killed her second husband after she divorced him. If you dig into the history a little bit more, she was probably justified to kill him, but that's still killing people. Her son apparently hates and fears her, although we've met the Earl of Io and he was horrible, so take that with a grain of salt. And then we failed at internal affairs. He says the boy has a living grandfather, or you could appoint an unrelated noble to act in his stead. Or we could marry him. Let's go ahead and send him to live with his grandfather, which, just go see Granddad. It'd be like a holiday. So Granddad's going to be regent. Yeah, politics is so easy. Let's go ahead and let's visit Julian again. She says, you haven't reached the crystal. Are you making progress? Or do you want to do a drastic action? Well, leave it to me. We're working on it. That didn't really accomplish much, but it kept our mood from changing. Let's go ahead and put on our royal demeanor outfit again. And we're going to study presents. Presents in the morning, presents in the evening, presents at supper time. And, oh, it's so close. It's nearly 100, but we're wearing the gowns, so I think that'll boost us to 100. Oh, there's a musician here who wants crown patronage. And Elodie thinks I wonder if she writes naughty poetry, because, there was a naughty poem about us. Musicians can be useful and dangerous. Elodie thinks she's fine, but we just failed a test, so she probably isn't. Let's go ahead and accept her. That's fine. Let's go to the treasury. We don't have good enough accounting to explain that they were there to count our coins, But we do have good enough presence to tell them to get out of the way. So they do. And we find the crystal that we need for magic. Yay! And yeah, sure enough, we managed to get to 100 with our presence outfit. We are going to spend the day studying court manners and foreign intelligence, which we have a bonus on and a bonus on. And one of the fun things about the bonuses is I think, I can't prove it, I haven't done the math, but I think once you start mastering a skill, like you pass that 25, you start getting bonuses in addition to whatever your mood is. So it starts going a little bit faster, which is nice. Here's our court manners, here's our foreign intelligence. You receive a letter from the kid that we relocated. It's an extremely formal letter thanking you for the wisdom and allowing him to live with his grandfather, who probably dictated every word he wrote. The Duchess, his grandmother, is not very happy and is putting out feelers for a civil war, which we wouldn't have known if we hadn't sent agents out to watch out for noble plots. So, oops. She says if she means to rebel against you, that is treason. Unfortunately, she's a long way away. She has her own power base. Commanding her to come to court may not be easy. And the longer you wait, the more dangerous she could become. So now we have a tricky situation. Do we wait, which potentially could be courting a civil war, or it might not be? Do we send soldiers to arrest her, which might not work? She may refuse to come. Spoiler, she does refuse to come. And which may set off a civil war even further. Or do we send somebody to kill her, which is obviously incredibly evil. But sending someone to kill her would avert the otherwise potentially inevitable civil war. Just to review, we're 14 years old. This lady, Aris, they say she's elderly and a grandmother. She's, 50, 60. She's well established among the nobility as somebody that they know and understand and can predict, as opposed to a 14-year-old girl who could, set the whole country on fire if she decides she likes pretty shiny lights. I mean, not that we would do that, but that's surely how the other nobles view us in terms of unpredictable and threatening. So she's got a huge nobility support base. She's got a huge physical power base in the sense that she has all this land and armies and prestige. People already call her the other queen of Nova because she owns so much of it. So if you wait for more information, you may be courting a civil war, and if you send soldiers to arrest her, it probably won't work. Or you can send an assassin to kill her, which will work, but it will be evil. I feel like Elodie at this point would probably be a little spooked about the threat of civil war and just want it to all go away. So in playing through, I went assassins, which also has, in real life would have a potential to fail and to spark off a civil war, like you do. But if it works, then that'll make everything lovely forever, right? So he said, send assassins to kill her. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and peel off another stopping point here, and we'll be right back. And we're back. So just to recap, we've been asked what to do with an extremely powerful noblewoman who appears to be trying to gather support for civil war. And we feel like Elodie would probably react going the simple make it all go away reset button option, Additionally, thinking that one person dying would be more beneficial to the kingdom than lots and lots of people dying in a war. And of course, additionally, we might die in a war, which would definitely be bad. So we're gonna say send assassins. So we give orders for assassins to arrange for quiet, natural-looking demise. She's not a young woman, and she's just lost her husband. I can't remember if it was the husband that she murdered, which was another thing to consider. So it shouldn't be suspicious. And this is really another good example of the game having me rationalize really, really evil choices. It's just one person. That's surely better than a war. Yeah, we're evil. So, went ahead and sent assassins. Let's go visit Juliana with our new magic crystal. So, we're gonna do it. We've got all this trouble. And oh, we have a pink crystal. And like, you totally thought I was joking when I said it would make us Sailor Moon, right? Because we are now. That's nice. And the crystal is now part of us. So that's nice. We're technically a magic user now, but we have no magic powers. Oh, and look how happy Elodie is. Which mood is this? That's definitely cheerful that's shining through there. So, it's nice to see her happy. We don't get very much of that. We're going to go ahead and do court manners and foreign intelligence, which we've already been doing. And we've finished out court manners. We've got it at 100. We have nothing more to learn. And similarly with foreign intelligence. Shooting star, falling star. We failed divination. You receive word that the Duchess of Lilla has passed away quietly in her sleep. At least that's what everyone thinks. Oh, Elodie, look how lovely and evil you are. She left her title not to the Earl of Eo, which was the redheaded guy who hates her, but to Kieran, one of her younger sons, who is 19 and handsome. And I believe he was also the one that we previously identified as being nice to us. Now, this is a game of intrigue, so he has a horrible dark secret, like literally everybody else. But everything has turned out for the best. Sorta. As long as you don't mind. As long as you can sleep at night knowing that you murder people. We have to decide what to do for the weekend. And I'm going to visit the treasury. And check our available funds and up our willfulness. We're going to go ahead and study accounting. Not because I don't think it will help us. But again, this was a playthrough where I managed to get to an ending, so we're just going through it as a baseline. So accounting, lots of it. Then we'll know how to count the gold in our treasury. Jocelyn has unpleasant news. Adair, the young lord of Elath, who we sent to live with his grandfather, and in doing so sparked a civil war, except for our timely assassination, has himself been assassinated. Sad. He was shot with a crossbow, and Elodie says, where were the guards? And your dad doesn't know, but he points out that this isn't the first time someone's been assassinated in the Ishtar area under the governance of this grandfather guy that you sent Adair to. And Elodie, that's true. And here's some background. So we can blame people. Who are we going to blame? We could blame his grandfather, but we just saw from Elodie, she said that there were rumors it was agents from, I don't know how to pronounce that, Talais, which is a foreign area. Aren't you glad you have me? So let's go ahead and blame Talais, because Elodie had the rumors there. And she says, Talais is moving against us, aren't they? We have to protect our border. Send some soldiers to the border. Good plan. Good plan. Now we have to figure out what to do with the duchy since Adair's been killed. The nearest living heir is the Duke of Sedna in Talais. Well, thanks for bringing that up earlier, Dad, when we were asking who the suspects were. Elodie explains how that's possible. And he says, well, we can't give the duchy to a foreign power. So now we have to decide what to do with it. We're going to go ahead and name a Novan heir, a local heir. And she says, well, I get to do that because I'm queen. And, of course, that's probably going to make Talais more angry with us. But we just sent soldiers to the border, so might as in for a penny, in for a pound, right? So we've got lots of younger sons that need duchies. So now we're going to run through all of them. I'm not even going to read all this. Our options are a child of the Duke of Kegel, a sibling of the Duke of Lilla, an administrator from the actual area, or a random commoner, which is obviously going to piss off all the nobles. And I picked administrator because that seems like a sensible thing. So let's get one of them. So yeah, that's nice. We ennoble people, but we don't ennoble them at random. It's orderly. Feel good about that. And then we're gonna visit our treasury, and our accounting is still too low to actually check the funds, or in any kind of meaningful sense. So, and we just failed a production earlier. So I think my role-playing point here was that I was freaking out about my terrible economics background. So we said accounting and production. And we unlocked a new outfit. An accounting outfit. Oh, and Dad, bearer of bad news, has more news. Soldiers belonging to the Duke of Sedna have attempted to cross into Elath, but were chased off by the patrols we sent, because we're awesome. Crisis is averted, but everything's going to be kind of strained from now on. We have letters. More letters from Brienne. Oh, there's a birthday party. And we are invited. And a lot of things can happen on the roads. We're not going. Yeah, no. That requires skills that we don't have. And if we went, we would get shot with an arrow and we'd die. So we're going to say under our regrets. Weren't even directed by assassins. It was just bandits on the road because, So anyway, what are you going to do? And let's go look at the dungeons again to get our willful and angry up. And seeing them miserable feels unfair. There must be a better way. I still agree with that, Elodie. And what's our new outfit? Just so we can see it. It is an economics tuxedo. Yes. Yes. I don't know how that makes us better at accounting, but clearly it does. We're gonna go back to the coronet, but it was nice. I'm a big fan. Classes. Let's say public speaking. What are... Yeah. We have a 291 plus on conversation, and I don't think wearing the dress actually boosts the increase. But, we'll do it just to be sure, safe. Public speaking, huge bonus. more public speaking, and we've finished up public speaking. We are officially the best we're going to get on that. Let's go walk in the gardens. That should make us not as lonely as I'd like to be, but kind of lonely. We need to start studying voice. I know that was completely out of the blue, but we do. Voice. Voice it is. Sing like the wind. The new Duke of Lilla has sent you a gift. That's the Duke whose parent we assassinated. And he sent us a embroidered pillow with a horse on it. Which is potentially kind of scary because we had his mother killed. Elodie worries that it's a poisoned pillow. So place it across the room from you, far away from your bed. Tomorrow you'll have it quietly destroyed, but for tonight you won't be sleeping well. So this is kind of our out-damned spot moment where Elodie feels really bad about having people murdered. Like you do. Let's go to court. This will get us depressed. We need some depression on top of everything else. So we're just going to be horrible because we're so cheerful. So that was potentially bad planning. Classes. Instrument and voice. There's some more voice. The Duchess of Mead is here, which we haven't met before. So if you're wondering who this is Brianny's mom. And she's looking for Brianny. And Brianny's gone. Sorry, we don't know. We didn't follow that plot line. We're going to visit Mom's tomb for the depression factor. And this is really, you pay your respects to your mother's tomb and wonder if the same fate is waiting for you. We'll try to keep you alive, Elodie. We will study decoration and instrument because we need to get those to 25 before we can get voice to where it needs to be. There, we've just failed another divination. Let's go to the tomb for some more depression. And that's our... Is that our fear face? Yes, that is our fear face. Classes... Decoration and voice. So this is kind of tricky. We need to get decoration to 25 before we can get voice any higher. So we're going to take care of decoration in the morning so that if voice tries to go over 50, we'll have that covered. New outfit, voice to 53. So that was wise. Elodie says things have been unsettled and we need to do something cheerful. And so Dad says, well, what about a tournament? We say, hey, that's an awesome idea. What about prizes? We have status and praise, gold, or employment, which employment sounds awesome. So we're going to go with that. She says the winners will have the option of taking up royal appointments. It's a recruitment drive. Dead flowers. Sad. And here's where, for so many people, the game ends. Because there's a gift from Kegel, from a merchant house. It has chocolates in it. They're poison. Huge production trade test just for her to know that chocolate producers in Kegel usually ship goods down the river instead of straight to the capital, which should make us suspicious. But I don't think it does. It just, she notes that the chocolate's kind of unusual. And then court manners is that it's very oddly high-handed for his he said, with our compliments. that wasn't apparently appropriately deferential. So we can either eat the candy now or save it for later. And we just failed a dog's test. In case you're worried, no, a dog doesn't eat one. It just gets really agitated and barks at the package and then we get this eat it or save it. If we hadn't passed the court manners test or the dogs test, she would eat it without a prompt, and bad things would happen. She doesn't feel like candy now, so later. And we will attend service to bring our freight down. And you may have noticed, like this is week 33. We've been kind of tearing through the weeks pretty quickly. The end is in sight, so we're trying to build up for that. Classes, outfit. Let's put on our toga, which is probably my favorite outfit. I totally love the gold vine accessories because they're just awesome. Toga boosts expression, and we want to get voice up, so we're going to keep doing voice. Done. In case you didn't get a chance to read that, I accidentally pushed through that a little bit fast. 70 and then 90. Here's the tournament. We're not going to participate because assassins, scary, sad. There's recently been a averted civil war. I don't think we're going to go. And that makes Elodie sad. Whoops. What is interesting about this, and I'm just going to spoil, of all the things you can take place in, if you've maxed out the appropriate skill, you'll do passably well in all of these, except music, where you will win the entire tournament, which might suggest that Elodie has an unusually gifted voice. Archery, max it out, she does fine. Falcon, max it out, she does fine. Voice, max it out, she sweeps the category, which is a nice piece of foreshadowing for an ending that we're actually gonna go for, but you didn't get to see that because we were too afraid to attend the tournament. Going to attend services, pull down that fear just a little bit. We have, well, here's what we have. Voice is almost maxed out. Public speaking and court manners are maxed. And foreign intelligence are maxed. And you can tell because it's green. Let's go ahead and study voice to max that out for real, and royal demeanor composure, which is at 28. So we're going to do that. Voice is now maxed out. Composure is getting pretty high. Our afraid penalty is helping our composure, which seems a little counterintuitive to me, but agent talk. So the agent's reporting that they still don't know who's trying to kill Elodie. Oops. Assassins work alone. They leave far fewer traces, as we well know, because we used one earlier. So, fine. Go away. We're gonna go visit our father. His face is grave. Ships have been sighted on approach from Sanjia. This is a war fleet. What? That's bad. Within a couple of weeks, they could reach the capital. We're going to need to fight. You can try to use the treasury funds to hire additional soldiers, but it may be difficult on short notice. I don't know whether to spoil or not. It's not going to help us in this playthrough. And my role-playing reason was that, Dad doesn't think it'll help on short notice. And so I figured that was probably true, and that we'd either stand or fall on what we had, and there was no sense in draining the treasury. Yeah, either way, we're gonna say don't. No, it's too late for that. We'll need naval strategy. We don't have any naval strategy powers. We didn't study naval strategy, so we're gonna delegate that. Unless your personal skills will make the difference, I would strongly advise. Yeah, we're gonna stay in the capital. Yeah. So I like how we basically decided that our answer to the warships is to do absolutely nothing. We're not gonna drive more soldiers, and we're not gonna go lead the fleet. But we did nothing in a very queenly way. Ritual, church, calm. We're going to go ahead and put on the royal demeanor outfit, which is right here. And that maxes out our presence. We have public speaking, court manners, voice, and foreign intelligence maxed out. We're going to study flattery, which is conversation. Oh, look, wow, we got a lot of flattery there. There's a ship battle! Please enjoy this whole new backdrop. The Sanjians have half again as many troops as you do. That's not good. The outcome's not in our favor. We did poorly. We failed to repel the invasion, so the fleet will soon land, and the troops will begin to progress towards our capital city. Whoops. Your remaining soldiers will hold them off as long as possible, but the main strength has been exhausted. Future looks bleak. Well, that's sad. We're afraid, so let's go to church again. Plus, I feel like from a role-playing example, it makes sense to be praying as hard as possible right now. And I love that since willful is our predominant mood, we have willful face Elodie going into the final confrontation in this is week 36. So, we're gonna go ahead and study, just to properly max it out, we're gonna go ahead and study presence. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop back into the toga. And I'm gonna go ahead and save, just because I haven't shown you how to save. Save game. Look how easy that was. I've been doing that in between videos. So we're gonna go ahead and say classes. We'll say royal demeanor presence and conversation flattery. So that should max out presence, even though we were willful. And that maxes out flattery. So, okay, here we go. Big showdown. The invasion of Nova is proceeding. Soldiers march through villages, trampling fields. It's a bad show, is what it is. A diplomatic delegation has requested access to the castle to discuss terms for surrender. So we don't really have a choice. We have no soldiers. So we meet with the representatives. You had expected diplomats and a military representative. What you didn't expect was the king of Sanjia himself, who's very handsome. And because we maxed out foreign intelligence, Elodie knows that he shouldn't really be called king. He's king consort. He's a common musician who married his way onto the throne. So bah on you. We didn't do any training in magic, but if we had, we'd find out, and we'll find out in conversation very soon, that he is one of the most powerful magicians alive. And he's also clearly evil because, red eyes and white hair and, yeah. And he, sort of mockingly flatters us. You yearn to slap the false sympathy off his face, but you force yourself to remain calm, because we've maxed out all that good court manners. And he says that it's better to settle things in a civilized manner. And he wants a contest. Should I win, the domain will submit and accept me as overlord. He's not even trying to hide that he's evil. And should he lose, then the army will leave. And Elodie asks what sort of game. It is well known that Nova is ruled by lumens, and I am also a lumen. Well, The problem is we don't know any magic at all. We have a crystal, but we didn't train with it. So he proposes a duel, and Elodie's not very happy. And he says, I'm sorry, I blew past that real fast. He says, if you meet me in a formal challenge, I'll call out the invasion even if I win. So if we win, he'll leave, and if we die, he'll leave. And she says, well, why would you do that? Because you're winning. And he says, well, I want your magic crystal, and I can only get that by killing you. Which you'd think he could kill us with a war, but we'll get past it. It's a magic thing. Elodie says she doesn't have a choice, but third option, he was a musician once before he married his way into power. Can I use that? And I mentioned, right, that it's potentially been foreshadowed that Elodie is truly exceptional with her voice, because she could have, didn't, but could have just swept the music contest during the tournament. So we're gonna sing to him, because I mean, what harm could it do? And she's stalling. He is a father who was once a musician. Music may reach him where nothing else can, so you begin your favorite song. And we succeed at it. You were afraid he would be impatient or ready to stop, but it seems that at least for a moment he is listening. And he asks what the song is. It's something my mother used to sing to me. She was the queen. She was always so busy, but she loved me. I'm gonna tear up in my Let's Play. When she had time to be with me, to hold me, to play and sing, I miss those moments. And Togami mocks us because he's kind of a jerk. And she says, willful Elodie, don't you sing to your children? Which, you might have missed it, but we had to pass a public speaking test there. And he says, none of your business. And she says, if we fight, and if I defeat you somehow, then your children will miss those songs. He says, well, perhaps you'd better lose. And she says, what happens then? When you've killed me and taken my crystal, what do you do then? You came from nothing and made yourself a king, but that wasn't enough for you. So you pushed the boundaries, you conquered territory, you came after Nova. After me, do you go home to your children? Or do you go get after another crystal, another domain? You have the world, but if you're not happy, what's the point? From the shocked murmurs on the part of the Sanjian delegation, you can guess that no one has dared to talk to the king like this in a long, long time. And we pass a presence test. It doesn't have to be like this. We could be friends and we could learn from each other. We could be part of something greater than ourselves. And you can sing to your children. And he says, I have not sung in a very long time. Isn't that sad? This is so sad. And so, despite the fact that his troops have literally decimated our country and burned and pillaged a path of destruction to the castle, we have managed to change his mind, which I think is awesome, that there was a third way out besides either killing him or dying. So I'm very happy with this ending. We can do this together. Just like that, the war is over. Yay! We won the war. That makes me so happy. I really like that a lot, and I know it's probably gonna feel cheesy or corny to a lot of people, but I don't care. I like it. I think it's awesome. So, we're going to decide how to spend the weekend, and unfortunately, bask in our awesome isn't an option. So, I think it's role-playing to go to the church and give thanks for this frankly miraculous victory or reprieve. And willful face. Yes. So now we're just sort of mopping up until coronation in a couple weeks. I don't know. I went ahead and studied strategy and logistics in the thought that we'd neglected it up till now, and okay, yeah, it's a little late for the war, but there'll be more wars, so might as well get a head start on that now. Plus, we had a willful bonus, and it seemed a shame to waste it. Your popularity is rising. Well, I should hope so. I single-handedly stopped an invasion with my voice. Let's go visit the treasury. Accounting, partial success. It didn't really do anything for us. We still just counted. We're going to go ahead and study strategy and logistics some more. You may now tour the barracks on the weekends. Some of the skills, as you increase them, open up new weekend activities, which can be fun. Hold on. We're trying to decide what kind of feast we're going to throw. We didn't hire more soldiers, so we've got a decent amount of money. So let's give the biggest feast possible. And I can give out commemorative cups and coins. Yes, we can do that. But one of the things you can do now, if you wanted to, is tour the barracks. Cuts down depression, cuts down pressured. Some of the other ones I've found is if you up dancing, then ballroom dancing on the weekends becomes an option. Horse riding, you can unlock hunting. I think it's horse riding. I don't think it has to be horse and dogs and falcons. Something like that. Some of the reflexes, skills, open sporting events. So different stuff. We just didn't do that this time. So, we'll just go check the treasury again. I like my willful face. Let's go ahead and put on the royal demeanor outfit because we're about to be crowned, and why not? And for classes, we're going to study composure and elegance, which we're kind of low on anyway. So that's probably should have done that over the barrack stuff last week, but it is what it is now. We collaborate with designers. Others are more interested in the subject of your marriage. And now we're going to recap all the marriage people. And this is kind of a nice option because even though you've had all this other stuff going on, you kind of still get a chance to influence whichever way it goes for the ending. Banyan is 10 years older than you. He was the blonde. Bryn, Banyan's sister, Bryn, the Duchess of Hallis, has urged you to consider her brother as an option, suggesting that as your sister-in-law, she would be able to see you more often. Bryn's the one who sent us flowers. And there's all these other people. And Kieran, you are responsible for the death of his mother, and if you ever found that out, I think he's probably the one who tries to kill you on your wedding night. There's all these other people, some of whom you haven't even met. So here's your options. I'm gonna go with Banyan because yes, he's an unethical, conniving plotter, but he briefly, in the time that we met him, seemed to connive on behalf of the kingdom, which sets him apart from some of these people. And plus, I like Bryn, so we're gonna go for a Bryn ending. So we'll say we'll marry Banyan. There's no time to pursue that thought, but perhaps in the future. And let's go ahead and church again. And we're going to go ahead and get some more composure and elegance because God knows we need it. We're about to get crowned. We want to make a good show. There we are. That's as good as we're going to get. At this time last year, you were celebrating your 14th birthday. You were in the school gardens. You had tea and cakes. You had flower crowns. And since then, your parents were dead, or your mother died, your father turned useless, you were thrust into power, and you had assassins diving into your path wherever you go. And oh yeah, last year was the last time you'd ever see your mother, so that's sad too. Now you're a legal adult. You single-handedly stopped an invasion, and it's crowning day. And you got a nice title drop there. And this is a nice touch. I don't know if you noticed this, but like right here you were sort of devoid of ornament, no crown, no earrings, no necklace, and then after you're crowned, you've got the full decked out, as if you've just sort of donned all of this. And now we get to have our ending slides. So ending slide 1 is that once his daughter was secure on the throne, Dad left town because he wasn't very useful anyway. But he didn't remarry. So sort of paid the supreme compliment to your mother by not remarrying after her death, which is sad. And instead he let his title go to his brother and his brother's children. The subject of magic, we didn't really do anything with magic. It remains slightly uncomfortable topic for the citizens, perfectly fine for the queen, but not something other people should be using. So we didn't really improve public relations as far as magic goes, but we didn't make it worse either, which was definitely an option. Unfortunately, the Duchess of Ursul, Juliana, who I personally like, was not treated super well because she was an openly acknowledged lumen, and people threw tomatoes at her, which is sad. We probably could have done better with Juliana, but this just breaks my heart. After the halt of the Sanjian invasion, relations across the Western Sea remained calm and trade flourished. Sanjia's expansionist phase seemed to have come to a halt. Sometime later, a special trade ship from Sanjia arrived with a tribute for Queen Elodie. There was a beautiful harpsichord inlaid with ivory and pearl and golden roses, as well as 2 paintings clearly made by children depicting a pink-haired angel. Is that not the sweetest thing? So, you convinced, asshole McAsswipe to go back home and spend time with his children, and he told them the story of what made him change his mind and come home, and they drew a picture of Elodie as an angel. Like, that just breaks my heart. That's sweet. I like that. Continuing on with the ending slides. However, we completely screwed the pooch on relationships with the Duke of Sedna, because we sort of disinherited him from that internal duchy that he technically had a claim to. And so basically we had border raids for for the rest of our reign. Oops. Elodie proposed marriage to Banyan, the Duke of Marie, and was accepted. His sister Bryn, the Duchess of Hellas, stood as Elodie's attendant for their wedding. The three of them formed a close relationship and were often seen together. Nobles sometimes joked that the queen had married them both. Bryn's own marriage to an Ixonite lord was short-lived. As soon as she was delivered of an heir for the duchy, she dissolved the union. At her queen's command, she maintained cordial relations with her ex-husband and allowed him time with his son. So basically you formed a happy little poly threesome with Banyan and Bryn. So that's nice. The invention of the printing press, which we were totally, involved in. I don't know if you remember, but we invested in that like way ago. Was new age of literacy and knowledge. Information and ideas, center of a storm of change. You are responsible for the Renaissance. Congratulations. And we funded a hospital, which is also awesome. And the sad thing about the printing press and the hospital is that when you play through again, like if you're trying to see everything, you will probably never invest in those again, because like the trade and production and battlefield medicine stuff, you do have to use that in some of the playthroughs. I won't say they're completely useless, because they're not, but you don't need them for all the playthroughs, so there's going to be plenty of playthroughs where you don't do these things, so enjoy them while you can. Hospital, yay. The young Elodie had always had a way with words, and that would serve her well. The true battleground of any war is the hearts and minds of the people, and also, I would add, the person who controls the army that you can sing to. That's also a battleground of a war. And this Elodie's legacy stretched into the future. And now we get the credits, which, yay. And we can save the story, which I'm not going to do here because it's going to pop up an Internet Explorer window and I don't want it to obscure the video. But the nice thing about this saving the story is that it saves off all the text, all the choices, everything, so you can do literally what I just did and make a walkthrough or a let's play and walk everyone through it. So that is our first, oh my god, such a long one. I think this is 3 hours? 2.5. That is our first let's play for Long Live the Queen. The upside is that future let's plays potentially won't be as long, but I guess that's an upside, because there won't be quite so much explaining of background stuff that we'll already have established. But definitely, of all the endings I've seen so far, which is not all of them, there's a whole bunch, but of all the ending slides I've seen so far, the pink-haired angel drawn by the two children who had previously been bereft of their father while he went warmongering is easily my favorite. Like, that just makes me so happy. So that is Long Live the Queen. Thank you for listening.